got done dropping my kid off at the bus stop. Actually, one of my favorite parts of the day. She's getting older, and it's a fun chance to have 5 minutes to talk with her. No one else around, and just get to hang out for a minute or two. So it's quite fun. I enjoy it a lot, actually. All right, it is Thursday morning. Put out the trash, ready to go. Merging into traffic very quickly there. Cat crossing my path was not black, so we are good. Not that I'm superstitious, really. But you never know. It was a gray cat, for sure, a gray cat. Not a black cat. So we're good. Sun's coming up. You know what that means? Wear my favorite sunglasses. The reason I like these so much is I was just listening to something popped up on Facebook on Gary Vee's site. He was speaking live at some web conference, and I love that stuff. Obviously, I work for a company I love as well, but I would also love to be an entrepreneur at some point, working for myself. But the speech was very interesting. He kind of was talking about him loving the point where math and creativity meet, I think, and that's how you do marketing. And some people fall to one side and some people fall to the other, which was kind of interesting. And then the other piece of it was that documentation is the new key. I guess kind of like what I'm doing here, trying to do here with this project or just something I'm trying, is that true documentation of doing a vlog every day. I've got one done every day. I've gotten behind a little bit just because of a chaotic time frame here, and I'm not really worried about getting them out at not 10 o'clock every morning or something like that, like maybe some of the other ones do, because their followers will get very upset. I don't have followers per se just yet, and so I'm not really worried about it. This weekend I think I'll be able to get caught up and get them all in line. I even got most of them edited down. I just need to figure out with the phones of, I do everything on the iPhone. So all this stuff's done via iPhone. Maybe some GoPro mixed in there. But for the most part, just because of ease of use and what I'm doing, and it all works with what I have set up here in the car, I use iPhone only. And so I edit most of it on the phone anyway. I'm trying now iMovie. Again, my goal was to do all this with equipment I already have and not buy new equipment just yet, and just do that. I mean, that was some of the advice given by Casey Neistat. He uses obviously very specific equipment, but I've got my own little setup and trying to make it work, and just want to put out some interesting pieces of me out there to everyone. I hope you find them interesting and continue to do that. Oh, by the way, I would love some subscribers at some point. So some subscribers, I need to enunciate. So if you feel so inclined, please go down here, and I don't know, I'm not good at this yet, so somewhere around here, maybe over here, I think there's a subscribe button. Go ahead and hit subscribe. That'd be great. Thanks. Appreciate it. You're awesome. That was interesting. This part of town, there's a four-way stop, and it's like something out of Europe. There's like 4 lanes going each way. And so it's this huge stop. You think it would be a terrible mess in the morning, but it's not actually. It actually works really well. It flows pretty quickly, but today was interesting. Some big truck went through and it just messed up the flow, and so then people were not knowing what to do and when to pull out. And the person next to me just gunned it, so they didn't get hit, so I followed. We're good to go. It's kind of cool. I do my morning meetings on Wednesdays. I think I mentioned that, and so the whole team's there, either via Skype or whatever. And I started doing this thing where I tell like an inspiring story. Marriott put out these trainings for how to be a leader with remote managers, and so I watched it and tried to embrace it and where I can. And one of the things the guy talked about was telling a story. The funny part was his story was so long, it made it not engage me. But the concept was there for a while. It was engaging, and so I was engaged. So what I've tried to do now is tell some of my crazy stories, but put them in a context for the sales office. So one there's no cussing, which is hard sometimes. And then 2, try to relate it to what we're talking about. So I told the story about my dad and the We Can Still Win This. And so that was fresh in my head, obviously. I love telling that story, and I tell it different ways depending on where I'm at. A lot of times about 3 beers in at a bar, it's really, really funny, or maybe it's just because I have 3 beers in me, I think it is, but people enjoy it a lot. It's a great environment for that. On the podcast, maybe it was a little rough just because I don't have anyone to interact with. I'm definitely a person that likes people and the interaction therein, and seeing, I read people really well, their body language and things, and so I react to that and move through conversations that way. And so it was probably a little not as good as it could have been. But I was on fire yesterday, and it was really funny. I mean, I think anyway, but I was on fire. I could tell I had to engage, and that's the thing that I miss, or would have such a problem with being a teacher, or as what I do with a leader right now is these days people just check out, and they want to be checking their phones, they want to be looking at emails, they don't want to be engaged in what's going on right now in the moment. And it's cliche and all that, but the reality is that's what you got to be. You got to be in the moment. And I try constantly to put down my phone and talk with my kids and things, and focus on people. If someone walks in my office, I try to not look at my computer and all that. So anyway, so I told the story, had them fully engaged, and the best part was, like, I had no ending to it, in a sense. I didn't know how I was going to relate it or tie it in. And so I just kind of said, so you might have felt like a punter for the first part of this year, but now that it's the 4th quarter and we've got the last push here, and we can still win this. So that's kind of how I tied it in. It was funny. People enjoyed it, I think, and got them engaged for the rest of the meeting. And then I talked this fast through the rest of the meeting because we had a short amount of time, and I think, again, that engaged people because I had them pumped up. So I don't know, it was kind of fun, just pulling through the story that way once again. I hadn't talked to my mom and dad in a long time, and so it's been kind of nice. The last 2 days I talked to my dad. I find myself wanting to give them a call again and talk. They're just good people. I love chatting with them. And I got away from it, and then they haven't visited us in a long time either. Normally they come down probably every other month or every month and a half. They just can't stay away. But with schedules, and my little brother lives in Phoenix, and my older brother lives in town in Des Moines, and they are ingrained and try to stay ingrained in all of our lives, and so it's difficult for them to divide up their time. But love seeing them, and the girls and I and my wife are very excited to go back to Iowa to go see them this Christmas and just really spend some time with them. So it's been fun talking to my dad the last couple days. I really enjoy. If you see, that's the wave for letting me in, and you guys do that. So that's good. You don't put the middle finger up, you just do that. It shows that. I don't know if it works or not. I don't know if everyone knows that universal sign. Maybe it's not a universal sign. But it seems like it. It works. She didn't give me the bird or anything, so we're good. Anyway, back to my dad. So it's 7:25 right now, and I think he gets up somewhat early. Maybe if he's subbing or something, he'd definitely be up. But if he's not substitute teaching, I don't know what his game plan is in the morning. So I feel bad about waking him up. But if I wake him up, maybe he'll put some Folgers in his cup. He's the guy that drinks Folgers. I think it is from when he was a teacher for, I keep throwing out random numbers. Don't ever fact check my numbers because I just throw them out there. Like, he's been a teacher for 40 years. He's retired now. He's probably like 20 something. Or 30. I think it's 32, 30 something. I don't know. I could do the math, but I don't like to. Anyway. He just does not mind a crappy cup of coffee, and that's kind of cool, you know. Random story. So, let me stop this. My dad and I did film on it. It's a Boy Scout ranch down in, I believe, New Mexico. I don't know that for sure, but since I went there twice. But you gotta understand the context of this is that I was probably, 13, 14, 15 years old, depending on which time I went. And I was the pickiest eater in the world. We already talked about I was skinny as a skeleton, just skin and bones. They actually had to put their foot on my hip to tighten my hip belt on my backpack every morning to make sure it would stay on my hips and I wouldn't carry all the weight of my pack on my shoulders, so that kind of deal. Well, add into the mix of that now we are hiking through the mountains in the middle of nowhere for 2 weeks, and I don't like freeze-dried food. I don't like most regular food. I eat like pizza, made right, macaroni, and that's Martha Gooch macaroni too. They don't make anymore. It's delicious. Anyway, and that's what I ate basically, probably in little frozen pizzas from the Schwan Man. So now, fast forward, and I'm at this camp in the middle of nowhere, and all it is dehydrated food. So it's like soups and beef stroganoff, beef stroganoff, beef stroganoff, beef stroganoff. And so you need to eat this stuff. Now, a lot of us, I mean, you try to pick what you want, like macaroni and all that stuff, or spaghetti, but it's still not as good as what is made at home, right? Even though we ate box spaghetti and all that stuff. But anyway, so the random piece about my father here. So we get to this camp, and you have these little intermittent things where you stop, and there's like a horse ranch in the middle of nowhere, and you can ride horses that day, and you do stuff. And well, one of the things was, when you got to those, you had better food because they cooked it. It was like you had stew night, and so they'd been cooking this cowboy stew all day long, and I'm starving at this point. I've lived off Army peanut butter packets for 4 days, and we get there, and again, I'm so picky at that point. I don't even eat potatoes that have touched vegetables. I'd probably eat a potato plain. I wouldn't even eat carrots in this stew. I wouldn't eat anything except the meat. That's exactly what I did. I just dug out chunks of beef and I ate them. And if you do that with stew, my cup of stew wasn't enough to really sustain me, so I only had like now 4 pieces of chunks of stew in my stomach, and I wasn't gonna eat anything else. So I'm wasting away. I think my dad's getting nervous. So my dad offers up his pieces of stew. Now, he got the rest of mine, which isn't a lot, just the gravy and the few carrots and whatever. He's a decent sized man, so he's not used to not eating this much, and so he's probably starving himself. The poor guy had to only eat vegetables. He's not a vegetarian by any stretch of the imagination, just to help out his son. So thanks, Dad. Thanks for eating vegetables for me. Another side note story. That same trip, there's a kid. We had spaghetti. We were excited about it. We're super excited about spaghetti because it was probably the closest frozen dried food that we were used to, and so freeze-dried food you're used to. So we were so excited about it. Well, this kid, his turn to cook. He's never cooked before. No one knew this. So he dumps the water in, maybe gets it boiling, and then he just dumps the noodles in, and then dumps the sauce in. Now, if any of you have made macaroni or box spaghetti or anything, you know that is not the process. It becomes a gelatinous chunk of nastiness. And then to top it off, we couldn't even salvage it by continuing to boil it because they already dumped the sauce in. So then you lose that. Here's the other factor. What you don't eat, you have to carry out. So you really want to eat everything you make, because otherwise you're carrying extra weight for no reason. So this is where Dad comes in. My father, probably just because he was hungry, not because it was good, figured he could force it down and needed the calories. So that man proceeded to help finish off whatever we couldn't stomach down. Again, probably for the sheer fact of needing calories. So again, Dad, thank you. Stuck in the grapevine bottleneck right now. Since today seems to be less random and more just stories about my dad, I got another one. So this is a cool one that it's funny when you think back or look back, people would remember my dad for this, as well as something that I thought was cool. It didn't embarrass me as a kid. I think some kids would be embarrassed, but I actually thought it was awesome. because I can relate to doing something like this. I'm probably this guy to a degree in my current role in Marriott, but I think the story goes, my dad, way back in the day, being a teacher and a coach, they had the pep assembly, right? Everyone gets there, cheerleaders, you've got the band playing, you got everyone screaming and yelling. And I think what happened, and again, my brothers can confirm, deny the story, or change it, or my dad, but my version of it is, I think he was in the Jayhawk costume and was asked to run out in front of the crowd and pump him up, and so he did that, I think, one time. Well, then it got to the point where people kind of expected or want you to do that, right? Well, that's what he did, but this time he didn't wear the outfit. So over the years it grew that the pep assembly wasn't over for the football pep assemblies until my dad ran across the stage going like this, screeching, and kind of like getting the crowd going, and it was hilarious because it got everyone pumped up. There was something they looked forward to. Well, then as I come into high school and I'm actually at the school, my dad's getting a little older, and not that he was old enough for this to happen, but he would just get really red when he did it. So teachers started getting concerned. Put a lot into this 30-second thing that he did at the pep club, or pep assembly. And so he would screech across, and it got funny because every teacher in the hallway afterwards was like, "It's awesome your dad does that, but is he going to be okay? Is he going to be okay?" Well, then it gets you nervous. You're like, I don't know, is he? But anyway, he would do this thing called the Jayhawk. It was awesome. One time he wasn't there, and so I was kind of, like I said, the guy that would do anything, and so they looked at me like, "Hey, are you going to do this?" So I grabbed one of my dad's coaching outfits, maybe shoved a pillow or two in my up underneath there, and then I ran across doing the Harvey Kimble Jayhawk thing. I forgot to say, the best part, when they started this whole thing, this is the best part of it all, the whole crowd was going, "Harvey, Harvey, Harvey, Harvey," and it get louder and louder, and then my dad, that was the call to come out, and he'd come screeching out. So it's just a fun, cool memory from high school, all that good stuff. Good guy. Driving by the stinky place. Pretty stinky today. Pretty rank. Oh, I need to put this on circulate. Oh, God, it's so bad today. Life's not complete without a football story. So when I was younger, I liked hanging around my dad and just being a part of the football program. So I was like a ball boy, and I kind of helped out at practices, ran and got water for the coaches and things like that, probably. Moved dummies around, got to just hang out with my dad a little bit. So I don't remember fully how many times I did it. In my mind, it was a lot. Maybe it wasn't, I don't know. But cool part was I got to pick a friend, and we got to be ball boys at the football games when we were younger. So that was always really cool. One of the funny things is my dad, being a teacher, always finding additional ways to make extra money, decided that he would drive the bus. So he had his bus certification to drive the bus to and from the football games. He was the coach, but also drove the bus. A little extra money, why not, right? So the funny part was he didn't want to carry the keys around to the bus while we're at the football game when he's coaching. So on away games, what he'd do is he'd lock the keys in the bus, but leave the little window unlocked. And so I got to ride on the bus and everything even. And so what he'd do is, after the game, he'd go over there and he'd lift me up, and I'd crawl through the little window over by the driver, and I would climb in and open the door. Kind of a cool thing. Actually, come to think about it, that's like breaking and entering, right? My dad used to do something else too. He also would do something else that was very interesting. He would not have keys to the AV room in school, and there was always little air slats in there, and they were always broken, and maybe it was because of this. Maybe my dad broke them early on in his career, I don't know. But he would have us go in there, and I could reach my hand up in there and turn the knob. He wasn't stealing anything, he just didn't have the keys to get in there, and he needed to set up his room for the week, so he needed to go grab our projector. So instead of bothering a janitor or having his keys, we'd go over on the weekend and help get his room set up for the week. And so my dad was actually teaching me to break into things, I think, is what we're piecing together here. My dad was also a chimney sweep. which was interesting because we also helped out with that, my brothers and I. And I look back and it was actually great. We always joke my dad had cheap labor because basically it cost him probably a 44-ounce Mountain Dew from Quick Trip to get us to work most of the day. But I do think he paid us pretty well as well. $5 an hour back then, pretty damn good for a kid. So I think that was good. We would do wear the black pants, white shirt, and he'd wear a top hat, and it was funny. One of the stories. My dad's a very nice gentleman, but there was a dog that was going to bite me, so I would stay down below and I would make sure the vacuum was sucking up the soot as he was brushing it down. Right, that was my job in all this, and so I would do that. And this dog, I mean, was just, and it looked like it was gonna bite me. And I was like, Dad, don't leave me with this thing, man. And it was funny because he grew up on a farm, so he's a little different mentality with animals than, let's say, a city folk and stuff. And we've had dogs, he loves pets, but he was like, if it bites you, kick it. And I just thought that was the funniest thing afterwards. Obviously, I still tell the story. It bites you, kick it. So, don't kick your animals today, people. Be nice. Be gentle. But if they try to bite you, just kidding. Okay, once again, look at this insanity here. Look at this. These are stacked up and stacked up. I should be up there actually right now. Right up there. That's where I should be. But I missed it. So I had to go a different route. But look at this. I don't know if you get the good perspective of how high this really is. This stuff's insane. These elevations or alignments, or I dare not say layers again. Troy will be mad at me. They're crazy. That's enough stories about my dad today. Maybe too many for today. We'll see what makes the edit. But this is the pre-Father's Day vlog. Anyway, all this boils down to, I was just thinking about my dad and wanted to give him a call, and it's 8 o'clock, so I probably can call now and wake him up. Must be nice, Mr. Retired.